Salutations, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Trinity News. I'm here with my cohorts Diego and Sophia.
Our first story is going to be about Viking.
And only Leif Erikson.
Hello there.
Thank you for being here after, the battle and everything.
Not a problem.
Okay, if I could ask you a few questions about the battle.
Sure.
Tell us about yourself and the people who follow you.
I am Leif Erikson, the most famous Viking explorer. I was the first to step on the continent of America year before Christopher Columbus. For the most part, we are traders and explorers. The English intentionally perceived us as victorious raiders, but we were the opposite.
You heard it here, folks. Back to you, Diego.
Earlier this week, researchers have recently discovered the Columbian Exchange. Some may ask, what is that? Let's transfer to Yasmin Hernandez, reporting live at the Caribbean where it had all started.
Thank you, Johnson. This is Yasmin reporting live. Today's top story is about the Columbian Exchange. We are live outside of the Caribbean where it all had started. The Caribbean Exchange had begun in the aftermath of Christopher Columbus' voyage in 1492. The Columbian Exchange had started due to the Atlantic slave trade. Now, many of you might be wondering what is the Atlantic slave trade. Well, we are now going to move on to Rosalie Da Silva, who is live at the court case to explain the rest.
Thank you, Yasmin. This is Rosalie reporting live at the court case to explain the rest. The Atlantic slave trade was a forced migration from Africa to the Americas and had lasted from 1520 until 1866. These two events that had happened in the past was the reason why Europe's economic shift towards capitalism had started. The Columbian Exchange had traded plants and food items such as sugar, tobacco, chocolate, and potatoes to the Old World. From the Old World, potatoes were an important crop for them. It had created more nutrient diet for them and had also created jobs, where the population of potatoes began to grow. In conclusion, the Columbian Exchange was a widespread transfer of many things, such as plants, animals, metals, diseases, human population, and many, many more things. As of now, we are reporting back to Jocelyn.
Thank you, Rosalie and Yasmin. As you can see, the Columbian Exchange was a widespread trade that impacts many people from the Old World and including the New World. This is now Jocelyn Flores heading out.
Go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today's news, we are talking about Vikings. But the real question is, what are the Vikings? Type shit. What's the most famous Viking?
So Eric Bloodaxe was the most famous Viking in world history. He was one of the kings of Harald Fairhard of Norway's 20 sons, making him one of the most famous Vikings in history. Back to you, David.
You pause that. Okay, Vikings were also very, very, very
One go.
Okay, Vikings were also really cool. They like to fight in general because they wanted more resources and everything. For example, this was an example of how the Vikings treated other people.
Good afternoon and John. Thanks for the invite to the.
What did he say?
One of my favorite speakers is Eric Flores.
Hey guys, today I'm here to introduce you guys to one of the most famous Vikings, Leif Erikson. Thank you. I'm here to explain what we did in these long voyages for 30 years. Me and my family traveled around the globe and found North America. Me and Christopher Columbus are not friends, we're enemies because they said he founded North America, but he didn't. And I want to explain why I didn't stay there for too long. Because Greenland was my home. Thank you everybody for having me on the show.
In the Atlantic slave trade, nearly 30 million people were taken from their homes, whipped, drowned, and sold.
They were taken away from their families and never got to see them again. Boston, the Mid-Atlantic, and many more states had local economies built around enslavement. Some of them committed suicide because they were scared that the Europeans was going to eat them and that their soul would return to Africa.
Sold for more than $4,760. They were chained and merchant for 8 months without food or water, and some were left to die. Now going to Daniela with our star guest, Mr. Young.
Hello, Mr. Young. We are here interviewing you on the Atlantic slave trade. We are here to ask you some questions. Would you like to answer?
Sure, I'd be very happy to help.
So do you know what diseases were spread on the ship?
Yeah, the conditions on the ship were pretty awful. Diseases like smallpox and measles and malaria and even a disease called scurvy. They were all on those ships. It made it really terrible.
Oh, scurvy. Interesting. So what were your thoughts on the Atlantic slave trade?
I mean, there can be nothing positive said about the Atlantic slave trade. The conditions were terrible. People were piled on top of each other. People suffered from diseases without any medical treatment. It was just suffering from one to the next, and it was people being treated inhuman. So overall, it is a stain on human history.
So you're saying it's overall a negative experience because no one had a positive experience on anything?
Absolutely. No, it was human beings treating other human beings like garbage, like objects, and that can never be positive.
Would you like anything else to say?
No, just I'm really glad that you guys are learning about these so we don't make these mistakes in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
Good morning, America. Welcome to Trinity News. Today I'm here with my partner, Adam Blitzner.
Hi, America!
Not too much Adam. Well, okay, let's get into Vikings football. Let's talk about our quarterback, Ranger Lockhart. Ranger had 3 wives and 7 sons. His nickname used to be Harry Benches and Saggy Benches. And now let's throw the wide receivers to Adam Blitzner.
Thank you, Sophia. Former wide receiver Eric the Red from Norway was very remembered in medieval times for the Atlantic stages, for his performances, and lastly, let me put the line back to Sophia.
Thank you, Adam. Let's talk about our linebacker, Lagatha. She played in a TV series and she had a good bull nose. She was brave and skilled and has 2 victories and known as Okay, let's throw the football to Miss Curtis. Go. Hi, Miss Curtis.
Hello.
So my first question is, what was your experience with football?
Cheers. Experience with football was I was a part of the IWFL, and it is a women's league in the United States that any woman can be a part of. It was full contact, so it was quite interesting. I was offensive guard and defensive end for 3 years.
Who was your favorite player? Like either like boys or ball?
That's a tough one. I like Mahomes. Mahomie.
Oh, why did you stop playing football?
Women don't get paid, and so it became pretty pricey because we traveled to like Texas and places like that came out of our own pockets. Also, a lot of injuries. And there's no health insurance involved for women's sports, so at least for football. So it was really difficult once you get injured to continue playing with this, health support and things like that you need.
We head live to 909 Lonsdale Ave, Central Falls, Rhode Island.
Thanks, Allison. This is Ashley C. reporting live. Today we'll be talking about the Atlantic slave trade. Welcome our second special host, Ashley R.
Hey y'all, thank you for inviting me. What was the treatment like?
Many societies tolerated and condoned human slavery for many centuries, but in the 15th century, an expanded and terrifying new era of enslavement emerged that has had a profound and devastating impact on human history. In this picture, you can see the horrific scene of enslavement in the 15th century. In this picture, you can see the violence that the Black Africans faced. They were tortured and beaten, and some even committed suicide.
Also, the transatlantic slave trade represented one of the most violent, traumatizing, and horrific eras of worldwide history. Nearly 2 million people died during the barbaric mode of passage across the ocean. Anyways, get that camera on my face!
Sorry for that disturbance, y'all. Welcome our special host, Mr. Ricky. What is your opinion about the Atlantic slave trade?
Well, I think the Atlantic slave trade is one of the most devastating events in human history. It was the cause of millions of Africans to be transported from their homes across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, and the brutality they faced both on the ships and in the Americas has lasting effects that we can barely imagine today.
Thank you for this good information. Our producer, one last time, Allison.
Live from 909 Lonsdale Ave, Central Falls.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Trinity News. This is Diego,
David,
and Sophia.
signing off.